Hey guys, so tonight we're going to talk about how to build relationships and following up with people. I asked Mercedes to speak on tonight's call. If you guys didn't already know, Mercedes is a coach that signed up with me right when I began, and then she also signed up again because life got in the way, and that's totally fine, but now she's ready to rumble, and she's built relationships along the way, and she's going to share with us how to really build them, because do you guys struggle with that? Because I know I do. Building relationships and like reaching out to new people, and I find that hard. So I wanted to share someone else's strength on the call as well. And we'll also talk about following up and how to seal the deal. So first, I also want to talk about that we pushed out the coach mentorship. You guys know that, right? It was supposed to start yesterday. We pushed it out to the 15th, which is this coming Monday. And I'm really going to focus on not recruiting many of my own coaches, only maybe 2 new ones, but to help you guys build. So if you guys get coaches for it, I'm going to like pour my time into them and help you guys build a team. That's what I'm going to focus on. And then we can start 2015 off right. So that's all that's really going to go on. And now Mercedes, if you can unmute yourself. And she's going to talk about how to build relationships and forming, which if you guys don't know, that's like an acronym that we use for Beachbody. And form is when you start conversations with people. F is for family, occupation, recreation, and your message. So that's something that we really like to focus on so you can get all of the pieces in instead of just kind of pestering people saying, hey, do you want to join my challenge group? No, there's more going on in the background for you guys to build relationships. So Mercedes, could you share a little bit about building relationships, and then I'll ask you some questions and how you go about it.
Sure. Okay, no problem. Okay, so like Sarah said, I joined up with I think I was one of her first challenges. And I was, kind of overwhelmed with everything that I'm going. As some of you may know, I'm a bride-to-be, so the wedding planning, getting all this information and everything, it would just kind of overwhelm me. And that's when I realized that what I was doing isn't how I wanted to approach the business. What was I doing? I was just a walking salesperson for Beachbody, and I didn't like that. So when I left, I took the time to think about how I wanted to approach this. And I focused on forming relationships and pretty much just putting myself on the other person's shoes. I do not like when someone's like, hey, look, try this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's like, hi, how are you? Are you doing well? Okay, yeah, so am I, So I kind of just approach it like that. When I make a conversation with someone, I don't go straight into Beachbody, and sometimes I don't even go into Beachbody at all. I just talk to them. How are the kids? How's your family? How are you? What's going on? I jot down if they have an event. I jot down the event. So when I follow up, I ask about that, and it kind of opens that communication again. So I say, hey, Erica or so-and-so, how did this go? Whatever it is. So what I try to do, and one thing I always put in my head is put yourself in their positions. I don't like it when someone just comes and talks to me about a specific thing whenever they message me, because then you're like, okay, here she goes again, this person who's selling this or promoting this or is always talking about this, whatever the case may be. Not Beachbody itself, but anything else. You don't want to be known or fall into that category with them. So I just always ask, and it comes from my heart. It's something that I like to know because it builds that relationship and that trust. So then they're going to open up to you and they're going to tell you, hey, I have been seeing you and you are, courageous for posting that picture, or you've inspired me, or, I see you opening up to me and being approachable. So I'm going to reach out to you, and, it kind of opens the way the talking communication there.
Awesome. Those are such great tips. I'm going to go back and listen and take notes. And also, so if you guys didn't already know, Mercedes is also a certified PiYo instructor. Mercedes, do you find that being a PiYo instructor, you're able to build more relationships with when you do teach? I know you're a sub right now, so are you able to build relationships and as a teacher?
Yeah, I am like a sub right now. It's not, of course, it's not something I'm doing full time. Um, it's something that puts me into practice. The same way we should be practicing personal development and practice exposing or sharing our story. It puts me in a position where where I practice. Like I told some of you, or in the book, in the team page, I'm an introvert, and sometimes if they come to me and they ask me like, hey, whatever it may be, I feel like I'm on the spot and I just want to shut down and run away. But they don't know that. Nobody knows what I feel inside. So if someone comes up to me, I make sure that the message that I'm portraying and that they're receiving from me is that someone who knows what they're speaking about. You don't want to go to a class and have a teacher who, doesn't feel confident in what she's doing, because then you're going to be like, yeah, no, I don't like this class. Maybe I'll try another teacher. So whenever I do go teach PIO, it does put me in a position each time where I practice communicating with others, because students either come and ask you a question or I talk about certain things, and I'm in that spotlight. So I do have to,
Awesome.
continue talking and portraying and whatnot.
I really like that. How you went about that. And so I have a question. So do you find that you try to find like a common interest with them and talk to them about that as well?
If we do,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if we do have a common interest, I think that's, rather interesting, and it just sparks a conversation. But it could go both ways, because if you do have a common interest, you could talk about it, and once you get chatty, it could lead into a huge conversation. However, on the opposite end, if you might not have a lot in common, like let's say like I'm a city girl, I'm a big city girl. Obviously, I'm from Miami, so sometimes I talk to people and I meet people on Instagram that are from a very small town, and
That's a good point.
Yeah, so then it's like we're totally different, yet it sparks conversations, because I'm okay. So tell me about your town. Like, wow, you guys only have like one grocery store. That's insane. Like, like I was talking to someone that their town population is about the same amount of people that I graduated with in my high school. So I'm like, yeah, just little different things like that. Whether it's differences or similarities, they're gonna spark, conversation starters.
Actually, an example about that is Sharissa on Team Iron Edge. She is from, I think she said a city population with like 400 people, and that's more than I graduated with. But I was just shocked, and she's like, I have to go about 4 hours to a local mall, and we just at Summit we connected because I was amazed. I'm like, I can go 5 minutes to a mall and then I complain about it. It's so different. It's eye-opening. And also, so when you do start these conversations with people and then the time does come where you start, like you somehow mention Beachbody, how do you incorporate that? Or do you wait for them to bring it up, or do you sometimes bring it up as well?
That's something I'm still practicing on, but I am more confident with everything that I'm learning, and just trying to have like a clear vision of how I want to run my business. It's something that I practice and I make it a point to mention. Like the other day, I was for shopping small business Saturday or whatnot. I was put in a situation where we were just talking and chatting, and I took the opportunity to be like, you know what, I'm a health coach and I do this, and I've lost X amount of pounds, and people admire that. When I said that, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. How did you do it? People want to know how.
I remember Mercedes actually texted me when that happened, and I was just so proud of her, because before, if someone put her on the spot like that, she would close up, and I know I used to as well. Someone would be like, oh, you lost weight, and I just like, oh, yeah, haha, thanks. But opening up about it, and that's a great example right there, Mercedes, of forming. Not only are you forming someone with family, occupation, recreation message, you are doing it as well. So that's coaching is part of your occupation. You don't have to be like, hey, I'm a Team Beachbody coach, buy this product. No. You can be like, hey guys, so they'll be like, oh, what do you do for work? someone could say like, oh, I'm a daycare provider, like my mom would say, and then say she wasn't a coach and I was a coach. I'd be like, oh, well, I do paperwork for a daycare in actually in my home, as well as I'm a health coach online. That's it. You don't have to go into detail. Remember that. People will come to you anyways, just basically about who you are. There's so many. So there's 215,000 Beachbody coaches. What's going to separate us from everyone else? That's what you want to ask yourself when you build relationships. Your relationship with people is what's going to matter in the end. They could go online. They could order off a commercial. What's different is you. And so just remember that. Building relationships is what matters. Thank you so much, Mercedes. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. And I hope you guys are taking notes. So I'm going to go into following up right now. So as Mercedes said sometimes it's hard to bring up Beachbody then. So I like to bring Beachbody up in my follow-up after I'm building my relationship, and I give that some time. And sometimes it comes up earlier if people ask me about it while we're building. So that's okay. But say the conversation completely veered and there is no place you find that you can talk about Beachbody, right? Do you guys ever get to that point? Okay. And you actually want to send an invite now that you know someone. So I was listening to a summit talk and they said you won't invite someone to your kid's birthday party or to your birthday party that you don't know, right? You want to know someone well enough on that relationship building level that you could invite them to your challenge group as if it was your birthday party. So you want to get to know them before you send that invite. If you meet someone off Instagram and instantly connect on Facebook, you aren't just going to be like, hey, do you want to join my challenge group? And I found myself doing that before too. And guess what? It doesn't go the way as planned. They aren't as engaged because they aren't interested in you as much. You need to build that relationship first so you have other common ground. And so this way, when you follow up with them, you don't just have to be like, hey, so are you going to join that challenge group? You could be like, hey, say I was following up with Lauren. Say Lauren wasn't a coach. I'd be like, hey, Lauren, can't wait to go to Country Fest with you. Or I would say, hey, Lauren, what's your favorite, maybe I'd ask a question about low glycemic food. Okay. Because I just know her on a different level other than Beachbody. And I find my most successful coaches are people that I have a deeper relationship with, as opposed to sometimes we get coach connections or leads, and sometimes they become coaches and we don't have as much of a deeper connection because I wasn't able to get to know them. They just signed up. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yes, I still build a relationship with them, but I don't know them on that level because I didn't build that relationship first before they signed up. So following up with people is simple. So sometimes we put too much thought into things, and I know I do that, but following up is easy. So say you wanted to follow up asking about Beachbody. So you would start a conversation and keep building that conversation just like you would. It wouldn't just be you blurting Beachbody, but you would just as if it was coming up in conversation. So say I was with my best friend. I'm like, hey, I remember you talked about that challenge group. Are you interested in doing it with me still? Or are you going to wait this one out? No pressure. So when you do a follow-up, make sure you have no pressure added to that, because people can feel that, especially at the end of the month. If people are, if you're waiting to hit Success Club and you feel like the pressure is on for you, don't put that pressure on someone else. That's not their fault that you didn't reach that goal earlier in the month, okay? So don't put that pressure on other people. They feel that, and that feels icky to them. That's like a salesperson. That's not okay. But with your follow-up, instead, I like to build a lot of relationships in the beginning of the month and follow up starting in the middle of the month, around the 15th. Continue to keep building relationships, but keep following up in different ways. I have a lot of people that I met on Instagram because of Sons of Anarchy, and that's on tonight. So I could follow up with them instead of saying, hey, so are you going to join that challenge group? Because keep in mind, these people followed me as well because we originally had Sons of Anarchy in common, but then they see that I'm in health and fitness and they need help, which is why I say it's important to hashtag other things. Because if you just hashtag health and fitness health coach, who's going to be on there? Other health coaches, other fitness people. You want to do something different, something to build that relationship. So now these people are very interested in health and fitness, and now I won't just follow up with them and be like, so say they didn't answer my post, my message about joining my challenge group, okay? I could follow up with them instead of saying, hey, did you get my message? I see you read it, or something. No, I would never say that, but instead of saying something like that, I could say, hey, how'd you like the Sons of Anarchy episode tonight? Was that a killer episode or what? You know, just build that relationship other than that. It doesn't always have to be Beachbody related. And I'm sorry, I could go on all night about that, but it's true. And remember that. Always just try to find something different. And if you find when you're talking to people and you aren't able to find something else to talk about, say some people are really not as open when they talk to you, you know, in a message. Scroll through their profile, see where they've been. So say someone was going through my profile and I was being not one wordy, but not as open. They could see that I was in Disney about 2 weeks ago. They'd be like, hey, how was Disney? Scroll their profile, see what they're up to. Was it their kid's birthday? Did their birthday just happen? Now that the holidays are coming, you can say, hey, what are your plans for the holiday? That's not creepy. People will, when you're more interested in someone else, that's just like the best feeling, right? When someone's interested in you and asking, hey, I've been thinking about you. How have you been? That's just such a great feeling. So make sure your follow-ups are just with purpose and from the heart, like Mercedes said. So, and also, so when you are following up right before your challenge group begins, usually about a little over a week before, I like to follow up because orders have to be placed beforehand. I like to tell people, and it's okay to do one like follow-up just about your challenge group. That's okay, because if they showed interest, that's okay. So just be like, hey, I know we talked about previously about you joining our challenge group. Are you still interested in this opportunity? If not, that's totally fine. I just need to know so I take the hold off your spot. You know, don't be afraid to put a date or a deadline there. Don't make it pushy, being like, you have to order tonight. No, just tell them simply, just put a date on it. A little bit of urgency with that follow-up. So does anyone have any questions? I'm just going to stop recording.